Prologue. October 1899. Devon. Gareth Weasley was as close to losing it as he ever allowed himself to get. He'd endured 2 periods and 12 minutes of one of the most frustrating Quidditch games he'd ever played.
It should have been a glorious win at Devon for the Gryffindor team, against their arch rivals, the Slytherin team.
Instead, it had been a grueling humiliation, and the score stood at 4-1 for Slytherin, with less than 8 minutes left on the clock. Gareth had had no less than 5 beautiful scoring chances. He'd taken shots that should never have missed, but they had. And the Slytherins have capitalized on Gryffindor's mistakes. One player had capitalized more than anyone. The most hated man in Devon, Agrius Malfoy. The near 1,000-year-old rivalry between the Gryffindor and Slytherin Quidditch teams had finally become personified by Gareth Weasley and Agrius Malfoy. Their intense animosity was clear, even to the fans in the farthest, cheapest seats. Gareth bent at the face-off circle now, facing Agrius as the referee prepared to drop the quaffle, after Agrius's second goal of the game.
Having a good night?
Agrius asked. His grey eyes sparkled, the way they always did when he was talking shite.
Sod off,
Gareth told him.
Still time for a hat-trick, I think.
Agrius said, before flashing the renowned Malfoy smirk and asking,
Should I do it now or wait until the last minute? More exciting that way, yes?
Gareth gritted his teeth. Just like the Weasleys that came before him, and the Weasleys that will be born in the future, he said.
Shut up, Malfoy.
Last warning, Mr. Malfoy,
the referee said. Agrius stopped talking, but he managed to find an even more effective way of getting under Gareth's skin. He winked. And then he won the face-off.
Merde!
Jean-Jacques Montesquieu, the Gryffindor's beater, hurled his beater's bat at the wall of their dressing room.
That's enough, JJ,
Gareth said, but there was no real threat behind it. To make it clear that he was in no mood to fight or even argue with anyone, he slumped into his dressing room stall. The Gryffindor's keeper, Leander Pruitt, sat on the bench next to him as always.
Are you all right?
Leander asked.
Yeah, I'm okay,
Gareth said with a sigh. He tipped his head back until it met the cool wall behind him and closed his eyes. Using the word passionate to describe Gryffindor Quidditch fans would be an understatement. Devon loved the Gryffindor team, to the point of absurdity. Their Quidditch stadium was one of the toughest places for visiting teams to play, because they faced not only one of the best teams in the league, but the loudest fans in the league as well. They also had no problem letting their own beloved team know exactly how disappointed they were with them. But when the fans from Devon were really devastated, like they have been tonight, they were almost silent. And that was Gareth Weasley's least favorite sound.
Want to know what would be sweet?
Leander asked.
Have you heard of that dark arts arena, where you get to, like, cast whatever unforgivable curse without going to Azkaban?
Sort of,
said Gareth.
Mate, if I would have gotten in, I would have Avada Kedavra'd the life out of Malfoy,
said Leander. Gareth laughed. He couldn't disagree that wiping the smirk off that smug, pointed, pale face would be at least a little satisfying. Their coach entered the room and voiced his disappointment with remarkable calm. It was early in the season. This had been their first regular season matchup against Slytherin, and they had been playing well most games. This was a glitch. They would move on. Then it was time to face the press. At that moment, Gareth would have preferred to see a pack of starving mongrels enter the room, but he knew there was no avoiding the reporters. They always wanted to talk to him specifically after every game, and especially after games where he faced Agrius. Gareth pulled his Quidditch jersey off over his head, so the Quality Quidditch Supplies, QQS branded athletic undershirt, would be seen on the Daily Prophet's photograph, part of his endorsement contract. A semicircle of enchanted cameras, floating candles, and quick quotes quills formed around him.
Hey guys,
Gareth said tiredly. The reporters asked their boring questions, and Gareth gave them boring answers. What can you even say? They'd lost. It was a Quidditch game and one team lost. And that team was his team.
Do you want to know what Malfoy just said about you?
One of the reporters asked gleefully.
Something nice, I assume.
Replied Gareth jokingly.
He said he wished you'd been playing tonight.
Said the reporter and then went silent. Waiting. Gareth snorted and shook his head, then said,
Well, we play in Wiltshire in 3 weeks. You can let him know that I will definitely be at that game.
The reporters laughed, delighted that they had gotten their Weasley versus Malfoy soundbite for the night. An hour later, showered, changed, and finally alone, Gareth went home. Not to the Tudor house with a large stone pig pen attached, but to the one nobody knew about. Gareth only spent a few nights a year at the terraced house in Cinderwick Alley. It was where he went when he wanted to be sure of total privacy. He landed on the tiny lot behind the house, let himself in the back door, and quickly climbed the stairs to the top floor. There were shops on either side of the house, which had closed for the night hours ago. The top floor had been decorated by a professional house stager. Technically, this was the floor that would be used to sell the house, if Gareth was ever interested in selling, which he told himself he definitely would be doing soon. He had been telling himself this for a very long time now. He went to the kitchenette he kept on the top floor and took out one of the 5 bottles of fizzing Weezebeer. Since he wouldn't drink anything from the competition, he twisted the cap off and set himself on the black leather sofa in the living area. He sat in silence and tried to ignore the way his stomach churned on nights like this one. He drank his beer quickly, hoping the dried billywig stings would help at least numb the disappointment he felt in himself for losing the game. The knock at the door came almost 40 minutes later. Gareth stared at the door for the entire 40 minutes before the knock. He had almost convinced himself to leave, to put an end to this foolishness. But of course he hadn't. And if the knock had come an hour later even, Gareth would still have been on that sofa waiting for it. He opened the door.
What took you so long?
Gareth asked, annoyed.
We were celebrating. Big win tonight, you know?
Agrius replied. Gareth stepped back to let the tall, smirking, blonde young man into the terraced house.
I got away as soon as I could.
Agrius said, his tone less teasing.
Didn't want to draw attention, right?
Sure.
And that was the last word Gareth got out before Agrius's mouth crashed into his. Gareth gripped Agrius's leather jacket with both hands and pulled him closer as he kissed him breathless.
How long do you have?
Gareth asked quickly, when they had broken apart for air.
2 hours, maybe?
Agrius replied. Gareth sighed and kissed Agrius again. Rough and needy. By all manner of means, he needed this. This tryst.
You taste like beer.
Agrius said.
You taste like the worst flavored bean in a Bertie Bott's box.
Gareth chuckled.
I got a bad box this time.
Agrius shrugged his shoulders.
Shut up, Malfoy. Just shh.
Gareth said, while putting a finger to Agrius's lips. They grappled and maneuvered each other until they reached the bedroom, where Gareth shoved Agrius roughly against a wall and continued kissing him. Gareth felt the familiar slide of his rival's tongue in his mouth and slid his own tongue inside Agrius's smirky mouth. Gareth wanted a lot tonight, but didn't have time for a lot. Agrius grabbed him and pushed him down on the bed. Gareth watched Agrius drop his jacket on the floor and pull his jersey off over his head. A locket hung crookedly around Agrius's neck, the shiny family heirloom resting on his left clavicle, featuring the Malfoy family crest. Gareth couldn't get Agrius to take it off. A constant reminder of who he was with. Once their underclothes were on the floor, Agrius picked up a bottle of soothing massage lotion and squirted it onto his hands, rubbing them against each other, then moving a hand down to grab Gareth's supposedly injured leg. Gareth arched up into his touch, moaning uncontrollably, letting out a loud moan.
Don't worry, Weasley.
Agrius said, his hands rubbing Gareth's inner thighs.
I'm going to give you what you need. Yes?
Yes.
Gareth exhaled, a mixture of relief and embarrassment sweeping through him. Agrius slid his hands down Gareth's open legs, pressing, rubbing, and even kissing them better.